This LOS is describe benefits and costs of international trade. International trade. Benefits and costs of international trade. First, we'll look at the benefits. Gains from exchange occur when trade enables each country to receive a higher price for its exports and greater profit, and/or pay a lower price for imported goods instead of producing these goods domestically at a higher cost, i.e. less efficiently. This exchange in turn leads to a more efficient allocation of resources by increasing production of the export good and reducing production of the import good in each country, the trading partner. This efficiency allows consumption of a larger bundle of goods, thus increasing overall welfare. The fact that trade increases overall welfare does not, of course, mean that every individual consumer and producer is better off. Trade also leads to greater efficiency by fostering specialization based on comparative advantage. Now we'll look at some costs of international trade. Opponents of free trade point to the potential for greater income inequality and the loss of jobs in developed countries as a result of import competition. As a country moves towards free trade, there will be adjustments in domestic industries that are exporters as well as those that face import competition. Resources, investments, may need to be reallocated into or out of an industry depending on whether that industry is expanding, exporters, or contracting, i.e. facing more import competition. As a result of this adjustment process, less efficient firms may be forced to exit the industry, which may, in turn, lead to higher unemployment and the need for displaced workers to be retrained for jobs in expanding industries. The counter-argument is that although there may be short-term and even some medium-term costs, these resources are more likely to be more efficiently reemployed in other industries in the long run. Nonetheless, the adjustment process is virtually certain to impose costs on some groups of stakeholders. For example, the U.S. textile industry has undergone significant changes over the past 30 years as a result of competition from lower-priced imports produced in developing countries, including increased outsourcing of production by U.S. firms. International trade, comparative advantage, and the gains from trade. An absolute advantage exists if the country is able to produce a good at a lower cost or use fewer resources. A comparative advantage exists if the country's opportunity cost of producing a good is less than its trading partner. It is possible to have a comparative advantage while not having an absolute advantage in producing a good. The greater the difference between the world price of a good and its autarkic price, the more potential to gain from trade. A country's comparative advantage can change over time. So we'll do a quick practice question to check our understanding. Which of the following statements best describes the benefits of international trade? A, countries gain from exchange and specialization. B, countries receive lower prices for their exports and pay higher prices for imports. Or C, absolute advantage is required for a country to benefit from trade in the long term. I think that question was quite easy because B looks absolutely wrong. Receiving lower prices for your exports and paying higher for your imports, that doesn't look too good. That's the benefit international trade. Or absolute advantage required? No, you need the comparative advantage, okay? So that one is an easy one. A is correct. Countries gain from exchange when trade enables each country to receive a higher price for exported goods and/or pay a lower price for imported goods. This leads to more efficient resource allocation and allows consumption of a larger variety of goods. And one last practice question to finish this LOS. Which of the following statements best describes the costs of international trade? A, countries without an absolute advantage in producing a good cannot benefit significantly from international trade. B, resources may need to be allocated into or out of an industry, and less efficient companies may be forced to exit an industry, which in turn may lead to higher unemployment. Or C, Loss of manufacturing jobs in developed countries as a result of import competition means that developed countries benefit far less than developing countries from trade. Okay, I think that was a fairly easy question because B, the wording is just exactly the same as the slide that we looked at previously. Which of the following statements best describes the costs of international trade? Correct answer is B. Resources may need to be allocated into or out of an industry, and less efficient companies may be forced to exit an industry, which in turn may lead to higher unemployment. So B is correct, okay? And that is the last slide for this LOS. Thank you.